So if everyone's ready, then maybe I will have a quick start. So good day, everyone, and welcome back to our session 2 of the P2P process, improving governance and control workshop. So today's session is actually designed for some of our understanding towards some of the P2P controls in terms of the P2P process with the governance and some of the controls in our day-to-day operations. And so this is not only a discussion only from the transactional lens, and we are also going to look into our governance and controls within our processes and some of the things which may be also cross-functional across P2P, like R2R and B2C. Okay. So let me share. Before we start, is it not on here? Okay. So before we start, I'll have a quick recap. We have some of the evaluation forms that we will need to be filled up by the end of this session. So before we start recording, we will also need your consent on this video session will be recorded for our HRD accreditation submission purpose as well. And also this is mainly also for our PTP FY26 on our governance and controls. Okay, so today's learning objective, we will demonstrate the understanding of PO, GR, and invoice receipt flow, like what we did in our first session. And the second thing is that we will identify some of the typical issues in some of the postings, daily postings. And then we will have to apply our governance thinking to our P2P scenarios. Then we will have to reinforce the escalation and the controls mitigation steps for our compliance risks. Okay, so today, these are some of the things that we are going to cover today. We will go through on the refresher on the three-way match, and then we will share some of the common PO related issues in our regions and some of the real life scenarios walk through. And I'm going to group you all into two groups because we just have 6 of you, and you can group into 2 groups, and we will make that discussion. And each of you will have to present wherever that you have learned that based on our first session, and then you can deliver what is the output that you have learned and what is your thoughts on the process. Okay. And then we will talk about how do we do the governance and controls, what is the approval flow and the escalations. And that's pretty much of it, that this will be ultimately aligned back to our FY26 PTP alignment. Okay. So this will be the agenda breakdown on the timing, and we will be having a 10 minutes break on around 3 p.m., 3:15 p.m. We will see where we stop by then. Okay, so coming back to the process refresher. Okay, back then in our first sessions, we've talked about some of the process where we are having some of the PR requisitions. So way before that, before this process starts, we usually come to the contract, telling us that what engagement we are going into with the third-party vendor. And then we will start to have that create requisition by raising the PR by the PO requester. And then they would be getting an approval according to approval hierarchy, which is set in the HR Connect, who is their HOD of the department. And then we are going to have that purchase order being generated and being once it is fully approved. And once that PO is being generated, they are going to send to the supplier, then they will be starting to do the fulfillment. So that is the step 4 and 5. And once the fulfillment is complete, and then they would have to come back with the delivery note or the proof of delivery, or in some certain situations, that could be a service acceptance report. And then we only can receive that invoice from the vendor by getting that invoice submitting into our invoice mailbox, and then we will do that IR. Okay, and once the IR is done, then we will be arranging for that payment. So this is just a quick recap on what we are having on this process on the three-way matching. So, next, let's have a discussion. So what are the common PO issues in your country? I'll give a round table so that everyone, you can have a quick thought on that.
Start with Thailand.
Okay, cool.
Okay, there's a few common PO issue in Thailand that we are encountering. Let me just give you at least two examples. The first one is PO quantity doesn't match with the invoice. Second is PO that less than 5,000 USD are not in auto trigger. So this common issue is create a back and forth for us to get back to user, and if related to the are not released, we have to raise a ticket to IT to come up with the resolution. Pretty much for Thailand.
Thanks for your sharing. So maybe we can take your example and take it forward for why is that happening? So, and then we can drill further to what are the controls that we can put this input to these scenarios. So with that two examples that you have shown just now, the first one is that the fuel quantity does not match. So when we go back to the controls, so maybe I'll go next. Who wants to share? What can be the control point for this scenario? Why is there an PO quantity mismatch with the invoice? What is missing here?
I think it's because the PO requester that didn't confirm or then still pending from the vendor. Because I think like most of the time, like the supplier that already aligned between the PO requester already confirmed that PO quantity is that amount, then maybe like 1 week or few days ago, they still have extra quantity to like need to bill us. Yeah, then they forgot like to revise the amount.
Yes, exactly. I think you spot on a very good point, which is the control point is that who confirms that? And then if we go back to this process, it is happening that when the invoice we are receiving at the step 8, it is mismatched with something that we are seeing in the step 3. So in between, you see there are steps 4, 5, 6, and 7, which is happening in between. So that is where the fulfillment from that vendor, they have already delivered that goods to us. And then who confirms that? And who go and check, like, okay, that's the quantity that I have received. And with that, they are going to come up with the proof of delivery being given by the vendor and telling us that, okay, this is something that how much of the quantity and the units that are provided to you. So please acknowledge and sign. So that is the key control point for our ELC to control that who has already acknowledged the goods that is received correctly, way before even the invoice is being issued on that step 8. Yeah. So thanks for your sharing. I think you have tell us with a good approach. Okay. Anyone else? Do you want to share? Okay, I will take your another example. The second example that you mentioned was, let me recap.
PO.
Yeah. PO less than 5,000, that was not auto GR. But why is that happening?
Okay. First is maybe it's less than 24 hours. But if more than 24 hours, it should be, from my experience, it should be a technical issue that we require IT help to support on this.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, got it. So with that scenarios, so it is more towards on the system bug or IT related issue, then perhaps we will not further drill into that.
Okay.
And perhaps if let's say we are going to move on to some of the other examples, perhaps like what is missing from the requester? Let's say if that GR that has to be performed by the requester and they missed out, and that GR is missing, but we have already received an invoice, what would you do? What could be the control to help that? Okay, so let's say if it's a PO with over 5,000 US dollars on one PO line, so it has to be a manual GR, right?
Yes.
So in your instance, I tweak a little bit into not an IT issue, but the requester forgot to do the manual GR. And we have already received the invoice. So what could be missing here?
User need to acknowledge that invoice is already booking, and then the notification is sent to personal user email that hey, we need your have to look this PO that belong to you in this is in good place or not.
Yes. So another key is that the timeliness. So timeliness, although it is not the control, but the timeliness can also help us to prevent with that timing issues when we have already got the IR, but we are not having the GR. So the timeliness is also one of the key, although it is not a control, but it can help us to smoothen this process. So coming back to the step 7. So the step 7, once they have already gotten whatever goods that they have received from the vendor. So ultimately, they still need to perform the GR before the invoice can be issued to us. So one thing that they have to do is that don't forget to do that GR, and they have to do it timely. Then, of course, our invoice, the vendor can issue timely that invoice to us, and then we can prevent a lot of the issues later on. Okay, so in the next sessions, I'll be showing you some other case studies that we can further drill into. And each of you, you can share with some of your thoughts. I'm going to group each of you into 3 per 3, and you can choose wherever you want. Or do you have any thoughts? Or I'll just group it for you.
1 to 3, 1 to 3.
Okay, cool. That should be okay. Can. And then we will need a lead in that team. Who wants to be the lead? Okay, and then who wants to be the lead? Anybody want to? Okay, yes, okay, so we'll have a lead from here, team, we call team A and team B, or whichever group name you want to name yourself. Okay, so we have Bang Ashok for our team lead, and then Alicia will be our group team B. Okay. So we will be having a few case scenarios. So I'm giving a few, like 1 to we are giving 4 to 5 case scenarios. So you can start grouping yourself together. I'm going to flag this on the screen, and then you guys can start discussing. Okay. And each of the case study, I'll give you around like the
Okay.
10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes discussions.
Invoice, the report. It's more.
So I'll read it out for you all for clarity. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So in this first scenario, it is an invoice received but no GR. So the vendors has already sent in an invoice on the 5th of October for the 10,000 units of goods. So I'm giving this scenario of the PO line above 5,000 US dollars case. So there is an incorrect GR posted in advance where the invoice has been received because the requester mistakenly posted the GR for the full 10,000 without the goods actually received. So the vendor issued an invoice based on the PO matching the full GR. So what could be happening here and what can the controls be? So what can you do for this case? You can share some of your controls. What is the controls? What is the missing point? And how can we rectify this? Now we'll come back on the 230 to 35 for the first case.
So like this, then. Yes, it's more than so it's many of the other target because it's more than 5K. Right? But then once okay, it's already performed. Mistakenly was full unit without receipt, without actual. Without using actual receipt. So we need the receipt without good actual receipt. Was that here? It received, but it could be less. Because without good actual receipt, the actual amount is 10,000 units.
And so when you have already received that invoice, what should you do?
Voice in with the user of these people, if she really, he or she, the users really receive or got
How many?
how many.
Yes, and then when we have confirmed with the requester, is there any something that can support us with how much you confirm?
It's you can write that. Not confirm. It's not a confirm use. Is received some 10,000 unit. It's a proof of similarity and you there's a copy of the photo on the warehouse ticket. Checklist.
Depends on what kind of
Is
the,
there any damage? That's injection or not? We also consider that. If we consider we do that, if we consider that is damage, we should reject the one that's not in those. So on that, you need to read the information which right. So you then confirm receipt 10,000 units in good place on the that we can issue on the
you can share like what we can do, what should we do, and what is missing here, and what is the control.
Like the request the vendor request of delivery. Once we confirm that amount, that quantity is correct, then we need to request the field requester to perform the PR reversal. And then once they done already, then we need to request them to revise the quantity. Once everything is confirmed and approval, then we can post the plan and we request ask them to perform the manager. Yes.
It's spot on.
Yeah, do this please.
So that is for long term. So she has done the resolve the short term resolution and also adding long term resolution. And so that we can close the. Yeah, I think this is a very good this kind of.
Is this everything?
Yeah. So that's why you should be. Once they are done, I think I'll get each of you to come out to present of what is your thoughts and then you can start sharing. Do you need the whiteboard?
I don't think maybe the whiteboard is it? Oh, you need the whiteboard.
Okay, if it's okay, then maybe I'll just let
Yeah, so
you
like,
demonstrate verbally.
yeah, very much.
Yeah, this is also a whiteboard.
Mm.
I'm using the pen. You mean marker?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes, marker is yes. The word pen.
Kalau you lukis, you senang you can. Kalau you tak lukis, agak lupa.
Who wants to present first?
You guys
Yeah, everyone get a chance. Because ultimately, we have 6 case studies.
Oh, yeah.
So who wants to go first? I can go first.
Lukis lah.
Lukis?
Lukis lah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so. Yeah. Regarding this case, I think the. Vendor makes this info. Then this one is vendor sent to our company goods is without goods actually say. So means vendor sent less than actual goods. Right.
Yes.
So the first thing is
Okay, so you can just write.
first is we need to confirm. Go.
Yeah. Okay.
Send vendor. Then.
From 1206.
1206.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Your presentation.
okay. Vendor and user. Then vendor send less amount in user. So user need to confirm with the vendor. This one is user. Then user need to confirm with vendor how many actual products that sent to us. Is it that vendor sent less than ordered quantity or not? So let's see. Vendor need to ask, user need to try to ask vendor to try ask for proof of delivery supporting details such as checklist, and then user need to do the quality checks if the goods is damaged or what or something we need to like return back, and then user need to clarify with vendor regarding the goods. They want it. And then for the control quality, I think we can ask vendor to provide proof of delivery and also all the checklists, all the order that we order to send to the vendor. Okay, that's it.
Thanks. Thanks for your sharing. Good try. Yeah. Okay, or within your team, does anyone want to add some clarity or any things to add on?
Okay, so let me rephrase what we discussed on this case study. When they sent us invoice on 5th October, and then we have checked and we received the invoice that is 10,000 unit of good. So meaning that the price is in USD is more than 5K USD. So giving example as 6,000. So this we have to set mindset that this is the minimum GR required, right? Let's put aside. And then when we check that PO, we notice that GR is already posted, but before we post that invoice into our system, we have to confirm the user that user is really received the product is in 10,000 unit in good or not. So with this point, we can find the control is proof of delivery as a control. We have to ensure that 10,000 unit that receive without damage. So from this, we required the supporting documents such as photo, the checklist, and then in order to support this. So come back to invoice, I come back to this PO. User, so from this, I can see there's 2 points. What happened if invoice received 10,000 unit in a good? So meaning to say invoice that we have received is batch. So we can proceed to post invoice in our system and send it to vendor accordingly. Okay, that first scenario. So the second scenario is what happens if the 10,000 unit is missing or damaged or got rejected, right, from the checklist. So let's say it's a 9,000 unit. So from this, user have to communicate with the vendor to revise invoice, and then from the user side, need to revise PO and quantity as per agreed. Only then they can reissue, submit to us again, and then user also need to revise the GR in this from the side in order to match with the invoice. After that, we can only then book invoice and then pay to them. Yeah, so the role, the important role here is the proof of delivery, as our not our product, it's a one of the control that we are not overlooked from this scenario.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you got a few scenarios covered.
Yes.
So how about the rest? Do you want to add on?
I think no need.
Then we will get you covered in the next scenarios. So maybe we move on to team B, and then Alicia, maybe we can start sharing. Yeah. So everyone, you can also try to compare like each person's suggestions. Like, is there anything that we can learn from or anything? Yeah, we try to learn from everyone together.
First, I think we need to request the POD from the requester and vendor side. And then once we confirm the quantity and the amount is matched, then we need to request the GR reversal. And then once they confirm everything, and then we need to revise the quantity. We need to request the PO requester to revise the quantity and the amount. And then once they've done everything, and then we need to post the IR invoice receipt. And then once we posted, then need to request them to post the GR. Yeah, because they already revised the amount already, then we cannot, I mean the Aruba unable to trigger it, then we need to ask them to perform an GR.
Yes, we also catch another point is that the system controls as well. Yep. So I think it's a very good answer as well, and that you have got the system controls and also the manual controls covered. So the manual controls, the gist of this scenario is that the POD. And then the second one is the system controls. Because once it is being reversed, then they have to redo the GR again accordingly to what they actually received. Okay. So I think all good. Anyone else from the team who want to add more clarity? Okay, all good. So yeah, we are on time. Okay, so moving on to the next scenario. So I'm just giving you the mock answers here, but I guess everyone has got this covered. So we've got this covered already. We did not post the invoice, and then we are getting the physical delivery, confirmed the GR. Then only we proceed with the IR. And without the GR, it actually violates the three-way match control. Okay, so coming back to another case two scenario. This is an over posted GR. So the PO is created for 1,000 units. I think it is a little bit similar to what we discussed just now, but I will still give you some of the time for you to have the ample time to discuss within yourself. That PO created for 1,000 units, but only 600 units delivered physically. I think Bang has got this covered just now. And this is a scenario of over 5,000 value. So the requester again, they mistakenly posted the GR for the full 1,000 units. And the vendor issued invoice based on the PO, matching the full GR. Okay.
Discuss now.
Yes, you can start with the yeah. For this round, it will be used to present. Then this round, Chloe, you can take a try to present it.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's quite similar to that.
okay.
It's from the source of meaning, and then they say on this 600 because it's user.
Mistakenly before.
Meaning the issue, what people means goods affect 600 only, tapi the PR and IR is one.
So young, they are different about in the data, 1,000 units, 1,000 units, because they are the form, only GR. Right, but then we only receive
600.
meaning that they should pay after for. Right.
And then we should and then we just really think what and then he was working and then
Yeah, this is they
it's over to contribute to
like this. Before, it would be should for the process and the parts user reverse amount unit quantity amount with
reverse them out And just to make sure, because people don't know it is in but it's people say it's not then after how
User to do a knowledge choose additional is more not so ways we and deal with the present and then to use and what have you the contents of the
it can be fine. So they don't have to close. In this case, we they even without members out there, the constant this is involved.
Actually, you shouldn't post in
Already before they
yeah, it's actually it involves
because
that is check amount they one hundred.
right.
But then one user already performs image
Yeah.
in this
So it
is
they should be based on
user mistake need to revise you and then the amount of then once you reverse it, then we can book with the
for the consent.
We should be responsible for the content.
Yes.
So the one that like much of the checks before because the user.
Yeah. And also you can also try to share additional something beyond this scenario. So that there could be a few scenarios under and this underlying scenarios.
I cannot be I can
So there could be several reasons.
find the more
Yeah, so you can think of, could it be this, could it be that reason?
we
How do we
are open to add and keep payment is not fishing.
So if you still on the
Then
project.
we need to link which control that we need to apply.
Or if you revise.
Is a people
If you revise
we
it 6 weeks.
Yeah,
So you must.
beyond the statute what are here.
Okay.
System control.
and once you're done with the, how do you close this PO? Yeah, just to ensure the closed loop of the entire process.
You cannot let this PO. So,
And then what happens if the PO is left unattended and the PO is backing there? What could be the financial impact? Correct. Yeah, on the P and L, if we pay, then it impacts our cash flow as well. But if we do not, then it impacts our P and L. Yeah, but giving you, this is a very brief scenario, you can share and explain wherever that you can stop something.
I think
You look, you look ready? She's looking at me that, oh, okay, I want to present it.
okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. I think, first you have to request to reverse the excess GR. So in this case, it would be 400. And then you ask the vendor to send the revised invoice, so the invoice for 600 units. Then you ask the user to revise the initial PO. And then I think if the user still want the 400 to become 1,000 units, then you have to open the PO again and start the sales. I think.
It should be like three scenario lah. What Chloe said just now will be the three methods if we want to handle. So the first thing will be, first we want to check whether we are expecting another 400 units or not. If let's say we are expecting another 400 units, we can have one way is we reverse the excess 400 GR, then we keep it as an open PO. Then whenever we then at the same times we need to have a revised invoices to reflect only the 600 units sent to us. Then the PO will still open for another 400 units to deliver. The second case will be we are no longer expecting any more units to deliver to us, meaning to say the PO is raised more than the actual limits. Then we will suggest for this scenario also we will have two cases we can do. First case, we can get the requester to fully reverse all the GR, then update the PO to match only 600. Then after that, we confirm the GR, we posted the revised PO invoices, match everything. Second method will be we proceed. We ask the PO requester to reverse the excess 400. Then we posted the revised invoices. Then the PO status will still have open because we still have space to receive another 400. If let's say we no longer need, then we can request to close the PO. This will be what Chloe just now, but it's three different cases.
Thanks for the sharing. So a little bit amendments on what Chloe's statement is. It would be that a rectification is only on the GR itself, not on the PO. We do not need to amend that PO because that PO already covers the full 1,000. It's only that GR was the issue that they are having the additional excess GR. Okay. Want to add on? I think you've got everything covered, but we still go back to the team A and let's see what is your version.
Actually quite sad.
No worries, I just give that exposure to demonstrate.
First, we go back to request to ask them reverse the full GR. It is my for my view.
Okay.
Reverse the full GR, then ask them to provide the proof of delivery that we only received 600 units. Then we perform the post invoice. Then the 400 left. We post the 600 invoice. We have to ask PO requester to revise the amount and quantity to match with the invoice. Then we can post full amount. Then PO will auto close after we posted full quantity. So we don't need to request like we have to close this PO or run another MI11 to close the balance between GI and RB.
Okay. So you brought up a point whereby we were given that option whether or not we want to fully reverse that GR and only do the GR of that 600, or we only we only ask them to revise that 1,000 in a reduced value. So your option is that you would prefer them to do the entire reversal. Okay, yeah. So I think that is also one of the discussion point that we can actually is a practice or different practices that we can use in our daily postings. Any other person want to add on?
I want to add for join information. So before we ask the user to revise fully GR, maybe we can ask for the confirmation with the user that is there any incoming in the next future, so we can let this open PO until they will be received next time. If that PO, if the user confirm that there will be no incoming future invoice another 400, so we can ask user to close that PO. Yeah.
So those are also an additional approach to that steps.
Yes.
Alice, you want to add on? It's okay. So coming back to what Joey mentioned just now, one more question for you. So if that person, that requester reverse at 1,000 Fuji, and then they re-GR the correct GR of only 600 units, what happens to the balance of that 400?
We request to close the PO.
We ask them to close that PO. Yeah. Okay. So can the requester do the closed PO at the same time during their GR?
Let's reach out to my center.
So I think this is a recap of what we discussed in our first session. So we talked about a lot of things that we can actually get the requester to do themselves instead of getting by center to do it, because they charge it per transaction. So when we ask them to do that, when they reverse the remainder of, when they do the correct GR, they can usually do a closed PO upon their complete GR. So that is where the requester can perform the PO closure at their end, and we can save that money.
So we need to say that when PO is reverse this GR on the open PO, the user can close at the same time, the same day.
If they say, okay, I only 600 and I know that's
And then
not
we
going
close
to have for 400 balance and I don't need it anymore, although I've already gotten all of my approval, but I just want to close it at 600. Yes, I put 600 and PO close at the same time. So that is where they can say, we can get some of the cost savings from here.
So what happens if user didn't close after 1 or 3 months for the remaining balance?
I think that's a very good point. So maybe Joanne, you can share. Mhm. What impacts, what is the financial impact of that over? So we are having that overstatement of that expense eating into our P&L. So because when we have that GR overly done, then we are having the debit expense, credit accrual, which is our GRIR. See? So usually when we do that IR, when we do that matching the posting, then we are debit GRIR and credit AP. So which is where that we can offset it. So when we do not resolve this overstatement of that balance sheet account on that GRIR, it indicates an overstatement of our expense, which is impact to our P&L. So this is the financial impact that we are having. Okay. So in our policy, so anything more than 270 days, it has to be written off or resolved. So we have to ensure that our balance sheet reconciliation, we have to follow up whenever, like after 1 month. So definitely we need to start chasing. Hey, what's going on? Because you've already got your things, but how come I don't get the invoice yet? So timeliness is the key, that we need to also ensure that the vendor, once they have delivered their goods, that they just show us that invoice. And because they definitely, they need the money, they have already given the goods, it's impossible that they don't ask for that money. Okay.
Okay.
I think we've got this covered. Yeah. Our time is so accurate. We are so on time. So this is the mock answer, but the mock answer does not cover everything, but the main purpose of this discussion is to get to see if there's any best practice of every one of you, because we do not have the best practice in the books or in our PTP today. So we need that thing coming from each and every of you. If you can share some of your daily practices. Okay, I will not repeat here anymore. So coming back to a case 3 scenario. So we do have another 4, 5, 6. So once we're done with this, then we can go for a short break later on. Okay, so moving on to this case 3 scenarios, then I'll give another 15 minutes to each of you.
I notice the word related is all related to closing involved, closing up. I think no sector scenarios, settings of the employer to us that you can get our late posting. And then she asked, yes, I will then mention in one people is less and more. Yeah, and get the lead on college and from making really so yeah, this is the the brainstorming. Brainstorming. You know, that's when you say it was that was good, and you are not that in time. Okay. What's the one here? P2P is a big book.
See, it's very big post, then post in October. And we send it to one, then you should ask them. What you send double?
So you send double because we didn't get the money. Yeah, so we should ask ourselves why we block.
So the question here, P2P blocks the invoice, it means P2P already blocks it on or not? Because when they send invoice September, yeah, invoice can.
She post the invoice. But the GR is not done in time. Haven't post, right? Or
There could be scenarios like we posted, but
We can.
cannot proceed with the payment.
Yeah, that's why I said, in this, we have two scenarios, we can book in one, but GI is not done in time, GI is done in October. That because then the second scenario is invoice, receipt in September, but GI does that mean that we have all the invoice to book when we receive the GI in October. Really, then. Is the American West we are independent and so we should book invoice so account that's day on September
Just want to collect.
because we currently don't know the post invoice, right? On that, they should and then when there is the second thing is these people possible
things that we get in. So we what's the question?
We should be just in high school, they last the evenings of the time.
Should be done.
We do in my
But what happened is not done in September. It done in October. So that in what will reflect of the so end October. So it's
Not all country can do it. So some countries like right? It's about big. Okay.
that can be done.
Actually, still country have different approach.
Then we can share, why is there a difference?
Okay, share of
We can share why is there. Then we try to see if there's anything that we can add to that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We already know what it is. What you want to do. ABCD. Then we take more. Then English is very. It's not saying now it's important to
But I didn't take it wrong.
You can also share what the cases or any difficulties when you're posting to if there's anything like.
The easiest one, also I make a mistake.
And it covers the 80% of the entire information.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes it's like Malaysia ringgit. It's only 25 ringgit. Sometimes got like 3 ringgit. They
Who has something I'm going to ask us to, how can we do and to improve our efficiencies?
we already discussed it.
Only, what do you think?
Last time, it's been a long time. I mentioned
That's
this.
so small,
It's more.
It doesn't worth the entire activity. Just imagine so many activities, the entire ST order.
Same goes with the people.
So one process, when one process is included, it's already hit like, then how much it costs, like, once you give it, and then every 7 years you counted, I don't know about this is something.
Is it like really urgent? Because we received the people last Friday. It's 25 ringgit only. And then once it's and then the answer really urgent one. Because you already come up with the table, right? So
So we didn't do the planning properly. So in fact, if they can gather everything like the SO, the SEU together, that should be, it must be something missing out. They miss out the SEU and then they drop the numbers.
but it's same thing, right? Because I confirm you request Friday, then we approve on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's same thing only. So it depends on the authorizer with their time when they want to approve.
That is also one, and also the regulatory affair, how is the planning, when they even get the.
Because you need like sending the same things to authorizer.
Yeah, I think we can share like what Vietnam do, we go and do something elsewhere, and then we can put that.
Also the people, because the different payment is people. Okay, I think.
But let's say
That was like the.
I say let's we on
Okay.
So I see everyone is done. So maybe I get team A to share first. You should put that in.
Okay, so for case study number 3, so when the setting was September, GI is not done in time, the big one on the August October receiving one. So from here we can see is when they sent invoice in September, it's definitely refer to maybe each country have different approach. So I will bring you to drill down with this in Thailand. Okay, so in Thailand, when they send invoice in September, of course, we can book the invoice. And then GR, from here, we can split into two. If this invoice is more than 5,000 USD, of course, it's manual GR is required, and if less than it's auto GR. Okay, but however, yes, in when the P2P can book this invoice, no issue. But then if auto GR is free, meaning that this will put in block. Right, so come again into the GR, and then when you run in to release R block, right? So this R block, this GR is trigger closing month. So in that invoice is post September, we still count the credit term on the posting original on the September instead of October. Okay, and then again, maybe when the quite maybe for example this calendar is 30 day, so post in September, October they should receive the money already. But then when they didn't receive money on October, when they resend again the invoice, submit invoice in October again, meaning that this one is considered is duplicate invoice, which where we need to reject it. So in this case, I can say that late GR closing month is give us impact in terms of credit term that will affect in our system as well. Yeah. And definitely for the duplicate invoice, we are not allowed to post the duplicate invoice, no matter what. So we definitely will give this rejection to duplicate invoice. Yeah.
So when you talk about the, I think the most important one is that the GR has to be done in time.
Yeah.
And so that the vendor will not resend the invoice again, right?
Yes.
And just now you also spoke about on the credit term. I think, yeah, is there anything else that you want to clarify before we move on to that? Yeah. So maybe I'll let the team to go on.
Maybe we should move in.
I think.
We will still book the invoice if we receive in September, even the GI is not done. Then when vendor resend the invoice, we have to confirm invoice reference and PO number is it sent between each invoice. Then if we confirm is duplicate, then we just reject the second invoice. Then if GR posted closing month, will affect our expense not record
in the same with the item. So, I think you still want to elaborate a little. Okay, you can go on. Yeah, you can go on. Just now I saw that you were still discussing on some of the points. You can go on, you can go on. Yeah, we'll move on then. We will just come back and discuss on this topic again. And then maybe Anis, do you want to have anything to add on this? Okay, good. Thanks for your sharing. And then maybe let's hear from Team P as well.
First, we need to confirm with vendor which invoice we should get.
Mm.
If the vendor confirm that the second invoice is correct, but we already posted the September invoice, and then the GR already done, then we need to reverse the GR, do the reversal GR. Okay, then if they're done already, then we only post the IR. But if we already posted the wrong invoice and we already paid that, then we need to post a dummy CN. Yeah, that's it.
And in that case as well, if let's say we have done our IR, but the GR was not done in time. So at that time in September, I think our system will have the system controls and it will block the invoice and we're not able to accept it. Yeah. Thanks for your sharing as well. And then Chloe, do you want to add on? Yeah, how about one thing you can share as well?
I think everything actually covered.
Okay, so coming back to what Joanne shared just now, so we are also given that option, whether or not we want to post that invoice first or not to post that invoice first. So is there any other discussion from the team that which method that you think is better? Which one, we can try to strike a balance in terms of our efficiency and also our controls together as well. So maybe you can give a try, maybe Alicia, how do you usually do that? Do you do it in that Vietnam form or a Thailand form? You wait for that GR to be completely correct before you do that IR, or you post that IR first, then only you allow that GR to be amended.
Actually, normally, right, we need to post it, the GR only can trigger it.
Yeah, so that's the case of the GR below the 5,000.
Yeah.
So usually we will still try to find that balance of posting that in first. Yeah. So in that case, perhaps on your scenario is that those amount are exceeding that 5,000, then we can wait. Yeah, if not, then we can do that first, and then we can park it under at least that IR has been posted and GR will be auto reflected. So with that, that can also reduce some of our workloads. Yeah. And then moving back to your first discussion on the credit term as well. So with that, when we get the invoice in September, that invoice, when we receive that invoice in September, the GR is actually not done. So we need to see whether or not when that GR is not done, it's because of the requester, they forget to do in that system, or technically they have already received the POD already. If that POD is already legit in September, then yes, that GR is actually valid. It's just that they forget to do that system things. So with that, that is some of the like what you said, that invoice we should be counting from the first invoice instead. But if let's say that this scenario, that invoice in September, it was issued without a valid POD. So then our invoice, the valid invoice can only be starting to count from the October revision invoice. So that is where our payment term starts to come from there. But of course, because of that POD, once that POD is valid with that timing, once they confirm what are the goods being received, then only they issue that invoice and our payment term starts to count from that invoice that we have been receiving. Okay. And so for that credit terms, it's actually beneficial to the ELC, the longer and later that we pay, then we can, of course, we can strengthen our cash flow. So, so this is something that additional that we can share.
Okay.
Yep, I think we've got everything covered, so, yeah, we're on time again. So we can get everyone to have a 10 to 15-minute break, and then we'll come back around like 3:30.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, just now bang Terry.
Murah sangat dari delivery fee. They use that as a label.
You did, then you just see they have the POD or not,
Yeah.
anyone sign on the fruits?
Then you got to sign, no?
Hey, but how come it's not the vendor sending out?
Oh, they said this one is first time when they
Oh, it's one time only.
But it's a different vendor.
new vendor and this vendor don't know
It's just the vendor.
service.
I thought they changed all the biscuits, right? Because I heard someone's bringing back all the package biscuit. That's why they changed it to the people can. Okay. Oh. Because I saw 18 floors still got
Yes,
packets and same.
it's more hygienic, but
I'm
very cool,有，等等一下。我喜欢这样子的 session 吗？我的微信泡你们想多一点，因为有时候也是要给他们知道，因为他们比较小心一些地方 PO 啊，所以我们可以让他们知道一下。但当时我们做完了这些 PO 的，我们也可以来看一下 non PO 的时候是怎样。因为其实最 match for PTP was the same。但很多时候non PO 他们就一个 email 来，哎，帮我出这钱先，然后我又没有啦，然后这些 proof of delivery 什么都没有，所以其实 P2P 蛮简单的。
我们太多的让 PO 人家不要做。
太多了，它的 PO penetration 才超过20，太低了。Indonesia 是80%，所以 Indonesia 是我们最高的 PO penetration，所以真的顺很多。你之前公司有PO rate 会是怎样？
我让我只是做配用，然后他们中国也是这样子，没有 PO，他讲这个给钱，我讲就讲已经跟他们讲 bank 肯定会 reject，现在真的是 reject，他们还是死死的要给钱。
对，因为有时候他们的 regulator bank regulatory 很严嘛，像越南越南我觉得他们的 bank 也是蛮好一下的。
就是其实应该是要就是全部恐泡啊 ，everything 那才可以给钱。
我其实蛮 prefer 啦，就是好像如果我们聊是有像越南的 set up 啊，有一个字在那边帮我们 check 完所有的 reporting，
他最忙的，我最后还是最忙的。
但是 OK 嘛，因为他最先进那些 business 啊，然后有什么欠什么，你就跟他们讲，快了你拿到手就跟他们讲了，然后来到船啊，我们这边再回去，现在叮咚叮咚就很慢了。
是实心，
对，希望不知道我们以后会怎样。所以我们其实这个 training 呢，也一般是为了 cover 我们后面的一个 PTP 的群，所以未来的方向，全部东西都是走 governance 这两个点，所以讲的也是希望啊，就是每个人都可以有多一点这个 governance 的 mindset，因为其实不单是我们 finance 吧，就 business 啊，我们每次 auditor 去看到。就后面 POD 了，然后 PM 自己也没有做 approval 没有 basis 的，我觉得这个月应该会有这个地方放进去 approve yes，什么 basis 拿不出来，auditor 就来了吧，所以他会觉得讲今年的重点会是要 ensure regional is accountable for all the BSR。
还可以做 approval。
对，但是他们就是他们其实会 play around 你那个 figure 啦，还有就是说，这个月好像我 sales 到了，我的，所以我就拱给他多一点，
可是如果他这个月他 overstay 了的话，他们下个月应该会 reversal 的，
他就在下个月才来看。
然后下个月又再 overstay。
其实他们这个其实很大的问题来的。对，而且像新加坡，它不管是在 field 有问题啦，可能像欧洲西啊，他们还有一些这样对马克的一些反抓，所以其实还会蛮严重的。对，就是contract 没有 contract 的去做一些 sales 啊，对，拿不到 contract，所以我们 P2P 其实我们的那个 process flow 啊，它永远是上手 PR，但是其实少了一轨是跟那个 creation，还有那个 contract
quotation
contract 的contract establishment 那边，所以我们现在慢慢会我们本来是想要跟 procurement team 啊，但是Selina她跟她的 team，他们有点时间上有点遇不到，我们是想跟所有的 procurement 一起用 VIP，给他们知道 contract 的重要性。因为有的那个是从 foreign vendor 来的，然后我们就会有 withholding tax、additional tax expense 这种 cost，他们有时候做 budget 的时候，没有全部没有把 budget 到进去。对，我们会想要这个 workshop 啦，我们应该下一个就会要找 procurement，所以那个 timing 我是想在我们电脑上面。
要开始1月5。
那你帮我们咨询，你要打谁？
不是，没有是 contract 的话，我们看是怎么样。
他走了，他是什么歌他走了，照样出人力照样每个人，但是好像那时候我们就做到很多 retainer 啊，我们收到很多 invoice，为什么是 retainer metro 大概是什么样呢？他们是 customer，他们issue我们 invoice，叫我们给钱哦，我就觉得很奇怪，给什么钱呢？他得 goods return，但是 goods return 的东西应该是 cover by，我之前我出这个货的时候，我应该是 debit call，然后 credit inventory 出这些的时候，我应该已经是有 cover，然后 ensure 我的那个AR 已经 cover 了你这一个部分，如果没有退货，我就当场我在 AI 里面去扣嘛，在电脑去扣出来，但是我们就会发现到 customer 会去玩这种手段，
就叫我们
叫我们买钱，那还有可以拿到钱钱，很好哦。本来这个东西根本都不会出现在他的 cash flow 里面，但是那个钱是转来一圈回来了，所以会有这种东西他知道我们会有 PTP 的，就要我们在 focus on 所有的 PSR， 要 ensure accountability。affiliate 是最重要的一个 role， 然后 regional control 你会看到他们这个比较积极一点，所以 regional control 要开始来 check 我们所有人那边的。那还有新的业怎么做？Indonesia 没有，所以我们会那个211
老公他说的是类似的，
所以我们也是欢迎来。
Outside cooler, no, here. Oh no.
Yes. Lots of people today, lots of people, usually lots of people will feel hot, right? But actually so.
Next weekend, actually they close the road for the Asian tour.
Whole week
Whole week, and then it's KL lockdown they say. All the pejabat awam kan dia cakap all lockdown. Then kita MNC how?
then they'll start bila? What time?
23.
What time?
It's close whole, right?
Bila
And then how?
what can I do?
They
And
can
now I need to come another 2 days.
they didn't mention what time, tapi my way pergi office memang untuk jalan kucing. I need to send.
I think my weight is all other, yes, blue.
Take a phone. I use Jalan Kuching. You also. iPhone. Now you see here. Jalan Ampang Piramli. Money don't think that's not his name. But the backlog one is this one.
Maybe just a while, like last time.
Is it the close?
I think it's like last time.
The close. Just a while. That's one. But this one seems like get unlocked. Even the new photo will get unlocked. So one. For after the 12 and also the 15, right? Wait, relationship with your prime minister. When are they coming?
Next week,
23 until 28. And what you will see 23 and 28. I still have 4 days. Yeah. You don't go see them. Don't go see it. That's it now. Meet and greet.
超难的，我就有才这个这么
Centralizer 哈。
centralizer 真的不难。对。
哎呀，So this group still got that one. How do we need so cannot remove until the admin can be. Can't go through. You don't have to say on the intensity. You confirm themselves. Confirm them. It's confirmed already, right? In front of the home. You want to sit down, Chloe? Have to see. This record.
everyone is breathing. Another minute.
The umbrella. Because I don't you know, we're always One point three kilo, yeah, that's what I got. Road spray. Because I used to, and it come to
Okay, welcome back. So we will continue for another 3 more case studies. And then we are going to wrap up the session with some other discussions. And then we will be wrapping up the entire session fully, by around like 1:30. Okay, so we'll also still give another like 15 minutes each on this case study. So you can have some of the time. This is a no PO invoice. And it is open. There wouldn't be too much of a restriction of this case study, so you can think of any other scenarios or any possibilities that how you can resolve this. So the business user submits a non-PO invoice for an urgent payment. And there was no prior PR, no PO or service entry was being raised, and no signed contract attached. So you can discuss on this, and then you will see like what are the concerns and what are the things that we can do.
For me, I take it this one is the urgent member in next month. They want to subscribe YouTube. Anything like, but then, there's no time to create people. And I think this one is required FD or brand.
I remember that's the what Malaysian punya urgent resource.
Some brand that that where is the subscription before my acquisition. So financial director that this as approval is not the is the supporting document that when all people that
So it's summer scheme like, okay, let's say we can. You need to cash. After paying cash, and then that one is urgent payment. So we use the urgent payment form, that one is non-PTP. Then we need to go to, we ask for approval, and then for the manager, and then sign, and then go to P2P to do the, to run the business. Same thing. Cash is one time. Consider that.
It could be one time, it could be repeated. But then if this class will be a long-term situation, I think we will create the people that. But what we can still accept on the non people. When there is one is able to yes, there's no time to accept people, there's no function being discussed. So what we can obtain here is brand manager to
Ask for a request.
ask for the request and all the user can give ask for the brand manager approve. Hey, brand manager, I want to subscribe this for this firm, like the next one can provide this. When you provide it for brand manager, and then we can send to FD.
Approval form.
Okay, for still money, they use the If disagree, then we can force all these supporters agree, children from the available will stay in election voter on the industry usage on the purpose and the become one is even people why you guys not using the three-way machine 3O. So this one is one of the things that we can encounter back in the audit when we launch operation.
Okay, so it's going to be it's picture, right? Not here. Okay, so it's not be open.
Okay, so can be like pull out then now.
So very easy, no need to put, I don't know what's up.
Yeah.
Then it's 410.
So you see what is the benefit of getting all the non-PO? It's so easy for us.
If not be open.
But if it's a non-PO, how do we move it to PO? If it's PO, then it would make our life.
Last time I remember, I thought before I'm doing all this thing, I thought is non-PO is much more complicated than PO. Now after I knew that non-PO is actually laggy easy than, because it's run one time.
Non-PO is actually having a weaker control.
Then you need to monitor. You have to monitor in this, not in the system. But if you go on the PO, what I repeat in everything, tomorrow you wake up on the post.
For the control, you can use that myself. More than 10K. Cannot, you need to like half the people. If you take out more than 10K, urgent payment, this one, and people. Last time, I think I put up there. If it's such a right.
Just use
PTP. Okay, update by the end of this session, you are going to be requested to write your PTP.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
Oh, okay. I see.
Can you set macam buah or you can have non-PO, right? If urgent one time, you want to create,
we will encourage
you to do the PO if you pay the order, right? I remember last time I do this one. Student asked me to do something.
You do non-PO or PO?
Non-PO, she asked for the urgent payment form, that one is considered non-PO, can.
If it's non-PO, then we say, why is that not a PO?
They say not PO, no work.
Exactly. That's the I for you.
that's in the PTP.
Yes, that's actually under the IP policy, so we can always use that as something that to educate the requesters and stuff.
But you can go what? For the urgent payment. So what is the urgent payment form and ask for the exam and judgment.
So she's trying to avoid the PO already.
Because you need to release the PO, right?
So you should raise the PO in the beginning, at least that all the budget, that she know that what is going to be the cost for this goods or services right in the first day. Then only we ask the vendor to do the fulfillment. But in that case, maybe she already gotten the fulfillment and also the goods and services, then only they got getting the invoice. When vendor asking for money, then only they get payments approval, so that would be like going backwards. So the control is actually weaker.
Again, I don't eat that much, right? Seems like my child conquer also.
Because also it's a pay and claim, so because the reason why we pay and claim is that we use our parking fee or we use our mobile fee, then only I know if for this month I use 98 ringgit. But if it's something that pre-planned, I know that I'm going to have a monthly cleaning services. going to have the monthly replenishment of our pantry on that please. Then I should have budget that right in the first place.
I remember last time people asked me, can we do like, we asked for the quick do backward. So then they said like, I will claim this first and they get the money, then do I have sent to you all the receipt. So it cannot, right? It's pre and clean.
Yeah. We want to do like advance.
Yeah, advance payment is for the, because they need to pay at the end back, so.
We are also trying to avoid like anything at advance. Yep. Okay, so I see everyone is okay with that. Then maybe we can continue with the discussion. Which team wants to start first?
So, okay, so first is to get to make sure that they have approval. So you can ask them, for the urgent request form. And yeah, you can ask them to email us. And then inside the request for approval form, it will contain like the invoice and the quotation and things like that. So once you get the approval, then you can pay. Yeah, then you can pay.
It's how do you know that they have used the service?
Do you need to? Okay, so let's say it's like a digital subscription.
Yes, the vendor asked me to pay money, then I just pay with them. Is there anything that I need to check before I can pay?
Need to check with the bill or the requester whether they have the service or not. Because normally they send us the invoice and then inside they have like, for example, the OTV, the one-time rental. Then inside that we have like mentioned, oh, this one is for the BCC activity. Okay, then inside includes like some of the contract and also the quotation and the receipt.
And the proof of delivery that they have already did that event and all sorts of the proof of delivery because we won't restrict like we call it proof of delivery for the all of the services because usually it is usually meant for the goods purchase for proof of delivery. But when it comes to service, it can be any form, any service acceptance required, like we mentioned just now, like cleaning service, that it will be just a timesheet. Yeah.
If it's like just now I heard one say like, what if it's a YouTube subscription? And then how can you tell if they're using it or not?
Okay, then how about yourself when you go and subscribe to YouTube? What do you see? Where's after you
It's still one of his like, right?
Yeah, it doesn't mean the subscribe channel. It's subscribe premium or non-premium.
Yeah.
So on that moment when you subscribe, you will receive the invoice, the information or receipt. From that, it could be on-time subscribe, or it could be.
Oh, you already present for us.
Yeah, that's the thing now. Subscribe, don't get confused with subscribe channel.
It's premium or basic.
But the subscribe is premium or basic. The basic is free.
So that is your proof of delivery, like the subscription.
Yeah, or when you subscribe, like Netflix, when you subscribe, Netflix will be 55 ringgit per month.
then you will receive an email confirmation, right? You have been activated with it. From when until when? Yeah, so that is your proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know that you can start things like that and then, okay, what I paid for is actually for this window period. So everything comes in a proof. So if someone asks you to pay money and then without giving you a proof, you wouldn't do that also, right? For it all. Yeah. So, any add-ons from team B? Okay, all good. Okay, then we'll come back to team A.
You want to use the YouTube thing? This one I do before.
business user last time. Yeah, like this business, it's a Joe Malone themes, and then ask us to pay like a CD because we need to pay for the, what we call royalty for the music, right? One time only. And then business user will send all the supporting documents to us, the receipt, the proof, and then all the things on. And then we need the approval from FE. Is it within the budget ke or apa? Then send all quotations. And submit the urgent form, then approved by the FE. Then send to finance for the payment. Then we need to run the, is it? We need to run the urgent definitions, urgent. But the union will agree if someone is, this is for not finance use. Oh, this one for finance use only. Oh, no. So like it is a brand use one. If you ask Damien, it's not finance to approve. Because we agree the budget. No, I don't think we will agree because it's actually, sorry, it's meant bukan Damien from the apa tu, Jessie punya last time. I remember. So it's on the commercial team, yeah, commercial punya director. Yeah, last time I remember I do for finance, HR. Yeah, so we look at who use that service, and who use that goods, then who will be the person to approve for that. Because we are touching their budget. Then ultimately they need to see, okay, I'm searching for this, and then it will ultimately go out from my pocket. Yeah, so if you ask Damien to approve for him, he wouldn't be able to approve that as well.
That's it. All this approved also important. You need to save all the supporting doc because yeah, we're going to have, maybe we will have the audit purpose. So maybe the audit team will ask why we need to, why this invoice being paid without raise PO. Because I think the favorite way is to PO. So when it comes to the PO, they will have a lot of pressure. So from this approval, from business operation manager and then FD, it is supporting us that we are not simply pay, but we have we being utilize this service that we are agreed to pay. Yeah.
You want to add on? Okay, so, yeah, I think everyone covered it. So we can't process the invoice without a documentation. So as we mentioned earlier, the key control will be the proof of delivery or the supporting documents. I think I've mentioned it like 30 times in this call. Okay, so the business must provide the supporting evidence. It's either ideally with the contract or service agreement. And just to chip in with some of the recent changes in Malaysia. So Malaysia recently we have introduced the stamps portal, my stamps. And if there is no contract in place, we have to use the PO to be stamped and it becomes into the form of agreement. So anything without the PO, without the contract, we have to get that PO being signed and stamped, and that could put us into a mutually agreed agreement. Yeah, so that is something new for Malaysia. And also we need the email approval with the cost center and confirmation of service delivery. And also the approval from the HOD on the GR and cost center being allocated. And if it's a recurring spend, they should definitely convert into a PO vendor. So first thing is that we can ensure the controls and we can also ensure that the efficiency is also being covered. Like what Ani shared, Pulau Mahoni is so easy to be posted. And then when it comes to a non-PO, then it takes us a lot of time. Okay. And then, yeah, lastly, we cannot process a non-PO invoice without a valid proof. So just now, Ani's also shared one more thing is that what if the vendor is a foreign vendor? So I'll give a little tweak on this case study. So if let's say if it's a foreign vendor, so what additional items that we might need? Maybe you can share like Thailand, Vietnam, what are the supporting documents differences? What could change if this vendor is a foreign vendor?
Need to request the COR and DGT form. If we have that form, then we no need to deduct the WHT.
Yes. So Alicia has brought on a very good point, is that once it is a foreign vendor, so we need to see whether it's a goods or services. So usually the services, like what you mentioned, the royalties that we are making payment for those kind of Adobe license service subscription. So we will be having with that withholding tax applied on the foreign vendors. So what we need is that firstly, are we entering into a mutually agreed agreement? And then if yes, then what is, who bears the tax? Who bears? Because sometimes the vendor say, I do not want to bear the tax, ELC, you come and bear the tax. Okay. Or it could be a share, yeah, but ideally, what is best for ELC, vendor you bear, yeah. Okay, so those could be the case, and those are the things that we might need to look further into that detail of that contract. And then secondly is that if we know that withholding tax is going to be incurred, so what Alicia has shared is that COR, the certificate of residence or the certificate of domicile in some of the countries. And they have the TTRA, they call it the tax treaty, so that they want to know that whether that foreign vendor, they are being established in the country that we are processing that payment. So with some of these supporting documents, it could help us to get at a reduced rate of that withholding tax, or even being tax exempted. So different countries, they have a different jurisdiction on the tax. So we will need to take note whenever we are making payment to foreign vendors. So especially just take note, this foreign vendors, whether or not we have contracts, whether or not we have additional supporting documents on all of the tax requirement documents, so that we can make that payment. Okay, so it's just something to bear. Okay, so moving on to case 5. I'll start to squeeze some of the time, then we can move on faster, and then we have more time on some other discussions. Because when you speak, I think we become or the main. No, we no stuff, but then the finance, and then finance pay the full amount. The payment was made based on the lower. Is it payment made on the higher or it's lower? Payment was made on the lower. You pay the full on pay.
Then we still have the discussion.
We pay correct. But if I didn't, got this is that we pay the discount.
They give it actually the
Discount, we paid the lower, so that discount is after the discount.
Then
We pay
pay
that
that
rate.
big. Okay. Oh, and look, then it's I'm spending for.
Should be spending which is GR. Spending GR was payment for it.
Balance,
However, the last instance.
What's
Balance,
this?
yeah.
This is GR. Leaving GR is for
yes,
GR.
yes.
And I'm spending.
So for the last one, you can see from the other lands, like the GR could be an excess, having that balance pending for an invoice. Or the remainder IR that was not being done. Yeah.
Okay, requested post, but unit already post GR, from the unit. Local issue invoice, lower, and they issue. and so you stick in watch with the number that because of a discount, like let's say 300 should be okay, 500 unit, but it's different amount. Based on low emotion value, based on the discount. Right, so when you book three amount 500 unit, unit is the same, but amount is different.
Oh, means requested that maybe sometimes actually that's to call it quantity.
Tak, kat sini dia tukar, dia tak tukar unit, dia tukar value amount. Because lower value due to a discount. Meaning that we receive discount from vendor, but we didn't aware due to unfortunate finance. So vendor issue us 500 unit number, amount difference. Bayar murah, kita bayar as per invoice. Receipt. Then balance I have. So now balance I have. Let's say 5 unit, cost RM9. Now we receive 500 unit, RM9. Balance I ask for the invoice. So balance only the not able to fortunately to make with GR. Meaning GR is 8 unit. I have is open. And it's a balance by a discount more. Today, what should be, what should we do in this? What should we do for this?
So you will be.
It's now it's impact people that open. Because it's the GR would be ABC is there, but they are not different. Not different because I'm able to post so much in GR. Because three-way machine, they're gonna match the four and now we receive the discount. So the balance actually we do. Now the engine is to understand.
If not, it's not, that's really difficult. This is because, but if this is one of the people and say discount.
This case, as Singapore is one like that. Okay, then we can flag the school is the. And school can just go to them. What do this?
Yeah, I'll run 10,000 again.
Can we write the language down to we get any approval?
Yeah, we'll get.
In some to create the person on the side and go to what you took my and so I want to from my web on the underlying GL. As a class and I mean to pause a hash when for now, that's only
Just want to show you that one.
Oh, that one, 64K US dollars. That one will need to get approval. I think with that email, we can also enforce an additional approvals for the issue.
Buying center.
So, ready? Who wants to share first? Yeah, you want to share because you have a lot of this thing.
Share for Vietnam case. For Vietnam, we'll post an invoice, we will prorate the quantity based on amount. Then, when the month end, I will combine and ask, requester if they have additional invoice for this or not. Then, if no, I will run MI11 to close the GRIL balance. Yeah.
How do you know that there is such a discount? Because if they don't tell us, how do we know?
Mention invoice.
Okay, so that will be the best straightforward method. The best way is that the vendor is very well educated, that they reflect whatever discount on that invoice directly. And if they don't, there could be some other choices as well.
Issue a CN.
Yes. Correct. So in some of the scenarios that, I think in many scenarios whereby we were not being informed, and then they could just leave the GRIR and go there, and then it will leave to an HGRIR for more than 270 days, and that will attract the audit attention.
So does that mean that we have to directly ask the vendor, is this the reason why it's best, is it because of the discount, then only they will provide us the credit?
Yes, that was the best approach. So the person who is ordering that goods, they should know, because ultimately, what's the agreement between the requester and the vendor? So maybe they have already mutually come into agreement that, okay, ultimately I give you, okay, you buy more, I give you discount, then I am going to reflect that. So it is already something different from our original PO amount. So when that value has reduced, that is acceptable. But if let's say the other way around, if that PO value is lesser than what they are issuing us, then that would be a different case, and that is not allowed. So whenever that PO, the value, when we begin with the PR, PO, GR and IR, the value can be a reducing trend. So which means when our PO is 1,000, ultimately I can only pay 500. I'm good with that because the vendor agrees with us collect lesser money from us, then we are good with that. But if let's say if it's a more amount on that invoice, more than what is the PO value, then that would be not allowed.
The requester has they are allowed to amend their PO after the mistake, right? But they just don't really know how.
Yes, there could be scenarios whereby, firstly, if let's say the PO amount is larger than what they originally requested, let's say they requested for 500 in the first place, for that PR being approved on 500. And then later on, they say, hey, I think 500 not enough, I need 600. So they have to do a PO revision way before the vendor starts to deliver. But if let's say they cannot catch up on time, the vendor already, hey, I already start to fulfill that 500. So that balance 100, let's raise another PO. So that is possible. But from the audit lens, usually it is encouraged that all of these PO, if let's say there is a additional requirement of that unit requested within a short period of time, let's say within a month, then it is encouraged that they would rebuy that PO. Because from audit lens, they might think that we are trying to manipulate the PO amount. We are dissecting the 1,000 approval. Initially, I need to get the GM approval. But if I dissect into small pieces, I only get, hey, my manager can approve 3 times, 4 times, and then I can skip my general manager approval. So audit may be catching all this attention, and then they would ask, why you do not rectify your PO, revise the PO? Yeah. So that is when the PO value increase. So for this case is that PO value stays the same, and then we have reduced the remainder of the payment amount. So with that, they have to GR based on whatever we have already requested. The unit, the number of units, maybe the stays the same, but the unit price may be different already. So with that, they can actually, I don't want to share, but then you all want to share. Okay, I'll leave it to you all share first. Okay.
You need to compare with the vendor and PO requester respectively,
Mhm.
whether the quantity, which quantity is correct.
Yes.
Yeah, then we only can like perform, we post the IR on that. Yeah. Then if the GI is excess, then we need to confirm with the requester and the vendor also. I think it's confirm with the vendor, whether they will bill like incoming billing to us.
Mm.
Because I think some of the PO requesters, they don't like, hey, whether they have like incoming billing.
They do not monitor their
Yeah.
PO, so they do not know whether or not they.
It's better to confirm with the vendor.
Yeah, that's also another approach. So your confirmation with the vendor serves as another manual controls. Because we know that the requester, they are not doing their task properly. So this way, we have additional tasks that we have to confirm with the vendor. So that is also one of the approach. Yeah. Any more you want to clarify?
So like what Alicia mentioned just now, after we confirm with the vendors, usually we have two approach we can use. If before we post the invoice, let's say okay, now the GL already confirmed with the full amount before discounted amount. Then when we get the confirmation from vendor saying that's it, the billing from this PO, there won't be any incoming billing. Then when we post the invoice, we can actually utilize the quantity of the PO and then use the discounted amount. Because when the SAP, they match the GR amount and IR amount is equal to the PO amount, they will auto close off and write off the variance of the GR and IR amount. So it won't have any impact and also will not have a GR and IR edge for so long time. For second case is the invoice processor, they post prorated quantity. So meaning to say, as what mentioned in the case now, is we having a GR balance. So after that, we confirm there is no incoming billing, we can run the MR11 to write off the balance of GR. So we will not overstated our expenses.
I think you've got everything covered. So also just to emphasize, before running the MI11, we need to ensure that there is an approval or a confirmation in place. So we've talked about this morning, Joanne also shared me another example, is that only one requester from Vietnam, within the 3 months time, she had an excess of the GR being reversed of $64,000. That is super huge. So she had multiples of PO, and then she always leave it there with the balance undone, and then requesting us to help her to clean up the balance. So for those cases, if you are seeing any top requesters are having any issues with their PO management, do flag them out, send an awareness email, and then copy their managers in the loop, so that we also keep the IP, our procurement team, in the loop, so that we get the affiliate to know that such requester is doing such needs. And then because they could be overstating their expense as well, and they do not amend it in time. And all these would be capturing the audit attention. So our audit threshold usually, for now, because of the previous findings from our, audit findings earlier on. So usually the auditors, they will try to sample a lot and a bigger pool of samples because they know that each and every single samples that I sample you also having an issue. So definitely I need to increase my sample of my pool size. Then it is actually, adding more of our work on the challenge as well. Okay. This is pretty much on the case scenario 5. And we are moving to our last case study, and then after that, I'm going to have additional things to be shared. This is the case scenario 6. I'll read it out to you all. It's a renovation invoice tied to the WBS code. So WBS is the fixed asset code used in SE order. So the invoice received for the renovation project is linked to a WBS. And the GR cannot be posted because the WBS is already closed after the capitalization. So the invoice is not posted at H due to the pending GR. What can we do?
People. So, see that people is having failed.
I cannot see the WBS is close to an
Already. Oh, okay. Finding him. Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. You can see this on our screen. Continue. So you all want to share?
Maybe,
Already.
yeah, maybe I can share from my experience. I cannot recap that I have faced before, but I try to recall it. So yeah, we received invoice, is linked to the WBS code, which is you can see in the PO, we have the material code, and then in the account management, you can see the UBS element there. Yeah, we count that is a POWBS element. And I notice also GR cannot be posted because it's closed. It's closed, so you can see the sign of a delete, right? So this one is, yeah, we cannot book into that PO when you enter that PO. It's not when you try to post in the Miro, you enter the PO is still the warning sign, which is you cannot allow to post. So in this scenario, usually we will ask the user to get the approval from their business manager. And yeah, in order then to get approved, to reopen the PO in order for invoice being booked. Yeah, so this one is take a few steps for us to post because sometimes they didn't notify us when PO is reopened again, something like that. Uh, uh, yeah, that pretty much on that.
So just for maybe probably for your information, like WBS is actually for a fixed asset. So usually right before a WBS has been created, as a fixed asset, there is certain threshold under the R2R. So for the requester from the affiliate, they are required to get an approval. They call it an AR. And once that is being approved and they qualify that as a fixed asset, if they have met a certain criteria and that threshold. So for us on the P2P, what kind of the fixed asset that we'll be touching, usually it's the renovations. Because we capitalize something, I renovate this place and then this is going to be capitalized someday. So that will become my fixed asset. Okay, although I'm not buying the car, I'm not buying something like that directly. So of course, a company car is also a fixed asset. But that will be more clean cut and then without a very complicated milestones. But for renovations, then we will have to ensure that that WPS is being linked to them. So apart from what Ashok shared, maybe Julie, do you want to add on anything else?
I shared the case like this before, is I posted invoice. Then after few days, only I realized the GR cannot be triggered if the amount is lesser than 5,000 USD. Then when we reach out to buying center to advise why this happened, they were mentioned this WBS is closed, so they cannot trigger this GR. Then we have to reach out to R2R. Then R2R have to get approval from the manager to explain why still got expense and to record to this WBS. Then after the approval only, after I can open back the WBS, then we can reach out to find the trigger default.
Yeah, I think that's the case, majority of us will be facing. And also one more thing, because you mentioned that you realized that the GR was not being reflected after a few days. How do you identify that?
The T code log invoice to check.
And that is also one part of the checking points as our control as to what we are doing on our BSR as well, the GR, BSR. So this is also another control that we can put in place. Thanks for the sharing. I'll let TP also to add on as well.
Exactly said as what Jerry said.
Okay. So is there any other scenarios that you are facing? Which country are we having this?
In Singapore and Philippines and more, Indonesia, we still don't have, I think we only have 1 or 2 WBS. So far we don't have any issue because still ongoing.
Then we also kind of for the also as a mention about checking point, we usually when we post the invoice, either it's related or not related to WBS, we used to run that block every Friday, so we want to ensure all the invoice and then is posted, or if there any invoice that have block in place, we have to further check in the database code, it doesn't perform GR or amount above 5K USD doesn't perform GR, or less than 5,000 is being time to IT related issue. So from that checking point is create our P2P awareness to ensure it invoice being posted on time.
Thanks for your sharing. I think everyone also got this scenario covered. And one more thing in this scenario, we also want to bring about that the collaboration with the R2R as well. Because R2R is the owner of this WBS fixed asset. So if there is something that their fixed asset is being capitalized or and finalized already, but we are still having some of the GR not being posted. If we don't GR, which means we understate our CapEx already. So in this, because it's a capital, so it would impact our CapEx, but not operating expenditure. So with that, we need to ensure that R2R is being informed, and if there is recurring issue, we have to also gather all of this piecemeal information and try to notify R2R why is this happening. And ultimately, R2R also has the responsibility to ensure that the requester and even the BMs, because the BM is also part of the approval in getting this fixed asset. So they have to collaborate with the rest of the affiliate to ensure that this fixed asset is actually capitalized correctly and accurately. So with that, I think this is a mock answer. Okay, so we have to flag some of the aged invoice where the GR cannot be posted due to the closed WBS to the R2R and the requester, including the BMs, whenever this is a capital expenditure. So we also need the R2R to coordinate with the BM to reopen the WBS, ensuring all of the documentation trail that they have already completed, because when they close and capitalize that WBS, there could be having already a reason that they want to finalize that. So when we are still posting the GR in, which means we are still hitting additional CapEx into their books. Okay, so what we have to do is that the third step, we have to process that GR and invoice once that WBS reopen, and also R2R to verify it is reclosed after the posting, so that we can have the entire closed loop. Then we can have the fixed asset not having any dependency from P2P. So one more thing is that yeah, the internet connection is having issue. Okay, so some of the wrap up and controls that related to the POs that we were discussing today. So we'll talk about like the PR, purchase recognition has to be larger or equal to the PO, and the PO has to be larger or equal to the GR, and the GR has to be larger or equal to the IR. So it can only be a reducing amount, but it cannot be a bigger amount. Okay, so all of these controls we have to avoid with the payment without GR or the supporting documents. And we have to escalate for some of the non-fuel spend as well. Because if we are seeing under the PTP matching governments and controls, we want to ensure that everything is being controlled by the system if there is a possibility, or unless those are only expenses which we are not able to raise under the PO according to the IP policy. So we have to flag some of the top vendors without PO, and we can give that awareness to our IP procurement team as well, so that we can collaborate with them closely and to educate the vendors, ensure firstly, no PO, no work, what Chloe has mentioned just now. And the secondly is that contract, everything has to be in place, supporting documents have to be in place, and they have to adhere to whatever the PO process on that three-way matching principle. And lastly, also with some of the collaborations with the R2R. Okay, because since we are all here, I just want to touch on with something related to R2R as well. Okay, so in some of the countries, I'll try to stretch a little bit. In some of the countries, we have already go live for Trifecta. So Trifecta is an inventory management system, a platform that they help us to manage all of our inventories. So apart from P2P, I'm just trying to give everyone an overview of how things flow. So maybe I'm gonna try to get a pen. Yeah, so I can start off with right there. Yeah.
You can,
It's okay, no worries. So I just want, maybe everyone, you can just throw your ideas, like how and what other divisions is also doing. Okay, so I think, right here lah. Okay. So when we are having some of the goods, so what business is Estee Lauder doing now? We are selling our products, right? Because where do we get our inventory? Inventory is our goods, the products that we are going to sell to the end customers. Distribution. Yes, so we have the distribution center. So they have to deliver the goods to the affiliate, right? Each of the affiliates. And who help us to deliver that? Yes. DSV, bingo. DSV is our logistics service provider, and they are the one helping us to manage our goods. This is called from the distribution center sending into the affiliate. We call this inbound of our inventory. Okay, so when they send over to affiliate, that is where we have our inbound invoices that we need to be incurred with the expenses with DSP. And then when affiliate, I need to sell that goods to end customer. What happens next if I want to send to customer? When someone places an order and then I want to send that goods to the customer. Yes, again, how to deliver this goods from affiliate to the end customer. Maybe they are still within, I'm giving like Malaysia, how to deliver that goods. It's not true. Yes, we have all that option. And it depends on what is the sales payment channels that we are having. So we have different channels. You can buy through the table sales, then it is we go and pick up ourselves. And then if it's an online delivery, Lazada, TikTok, Shopee, and whatever, then it depends on what kind of arrangement based on that. And then we also have the affiliate. Usually we also ask TSV to manage our warehouse, because for now we are shifting. Previously we are using Olore, and in some countries Seva. This too, we are shifting into DSV. Okay, this is called Trifecta project. So although this Trifecta is not too much relation to P2P, but it's closely related to P2P in terms of who we are paying DSV. Okay, so when this DC, they send out the goods to the affiliate. So there could be DC sent to affiliate, which means affiliate owes money to DC, and they have their AR. They need to debit AR and credit their revenue when they ship out the goods, right? And then when we need to make that payment to them, we have to debit. Yeah. Debit inventory accrual or be out store. Okay, so we have the something like a GIR, or in simple, we can call this AP lah. And this is called interco payment. So this is where like bank, you have made that payment on interco, usually this is the interco payment that we are doing, because I am selling that things inventory between my affiliates and at an arm's length value. Okay, so this is what we have, the interco payments. And then when it comes to affiliate to customer Malaysia, so we have the O2C doing those kind of things, that when we sell goods to the customer, the same thing, our inventory. When we receive that inventory, we do this, right? And then when we make that inventory going out, we have to, our inventory, it would be out of this, we will ship out this, and this is where our inventory is being outbound, going out. And customer will make that payment to us, and the same entry, it will fall under this, but it is under the Malaysia affiliate. So this is where we start to make business, where O2C is doing the collections, and we have to have the AR and then credit our revenue. And then when the goods is being shipped out, then we have the debit cost of goods sold, credit inventory. This is where our inventory is went out. So where is P2P here? So P2P, what happens is that when we want to sell things to our customer, we have to have a lot of expenses, right? So the biggest expenses in ELC for P2P, can someone name me a few?
rental,
Those are the fixed cost. Say that will be variable cost. Fixed utilities and everything, staffing, everything.
Training service.
Yes, but also because we always renovate for our counters to make it very attractive.
Is it even?
A lot of events, the biggest expense in ELC is always like events and marketing. We are spending a lot of money into this so that we can promote our products. And so this is where we are incurring a lot of the expenses coming into P2P. So this is where, just for always information, that what P2P here, we are only doing types, we are making that expense and going through our AP. So these two are the utmost important that we need to secure and govern our P2P. Okay, and then the rest, if let's say someone tell you, hey, you should do this GIR, don't do this GIR, does it relate to us? No, it is an interco. Okay, so they say, hey, this one send to the customer, and then goods return from the customer to the affiliate. Does it relate to us? No, it is also O2C, okay? So the reason why we are trying to segregate all this is that we do not want to have duplicates. If let's say O2C already do the goods returns from there and issuing out a credit note, and at P2P, we make that payment to the retailer or the customer again. So we are causing the duplicates. So when people say, hey, you're drawing the boundaries, why we are drawing the lines, but we are not, because we are trying to avoid the duplicates. And this is how we secure our financial statement. Okay. So this is roughly the entire story of what ELC does here. So just a simple one, from the region, going to affiliates, handing out the goods, and then how do we have the inventory in and out, and then where are the costs, expenses, if let's say affiliate going to customers, okay, yes, there is some of the delivery expenses, fees, freight charges, tax, everything, those could be operational expenses from P2P. But then, and the rest, it should be lies with sitting under the respective divisions as well. Yeah, so this is just something additional to share. So even like maybe Annie's your side, they ask you to go and pull out where is the receipt for O2C, and that definitely is something that yeah, our B2B, the O2C and the commercial team has to be educated that if you want me to get something refunded, definitely if you go and buy something, you go to Uniqlo or where they will ask you, hey, where's your original receipt? But not us B2B to find that receipt for them. Okay, so I'm just sharing additional because recently we are seeing a lot of cases because of our process is not very clearly defined and the RASI is not so clear. So there is some of the overlapping things that we may be doing in addition together with other divisions. So with that, if there's anything related to things outside of the P2P, like GRPO, acceptance, invoice, GRIR, or AP, then do back to me and let me know what could be the challenges that you are facing. And especially if you are doing something in your daily routines, like you are spending a lot of time. When it is spending a lot of time, definitely something went wrong. But I shut this down, something went wrong because that is an O2C commercial process. It's not falling under P2P. So, and then when we are spending a lot of time on anything else that you can think of that we cannot map in our GRIR, do flag it. We have two kind of escalations. One is we look at the significance of that amount, the amount whether it is material or not. If it's like below 10 USD, we do that. We spend our time and energy on the very huge, big amounts so that if we can click, okay, resolve one case on that significant amount, at least we get the things done. Okay, so those are the ones that, which is more concern from Damien or Jamel, from the stakeholders. They look at the significant amounts. So whenever we are doing something else, like we go back to our DDP and also the issue log. We always need to ensure that issue log is being listed with the financial impact amount, so that we know that whether or not this is impacting my books or not. If not, then okay, we can put the priorities, we can slowly adjust the priorities, and then we focus on those significant things. And then lastly, we go back to our PTP. So day-to-day operations, if any of the controls which we learn from these 2-day sessions, that you think that the lack of control, no approval, no supporting documents, kinds of things that there's no proper process, do flag it to me. That is one. Second thing is that do update the DTP. And then if you are facing any difficulties, do let us know. Okay. I've reading much of the session, and then I think I will still need a quick minute. So just by the to wrap up the entire session. So maybe just a quick roundtable. Everyone can just share what did you learn today? Because one day today, when we're done with the session, I hope when you walk out this room, you got something gained in your knowledge.
Okay, so this is the second day of training. So yeah, thank for the host, and then what I learned from this training is I can oversee the issue from not only from Thailand but other country, and then not only issue that I can see, only how they resolve the issue for the other country as well. This is a good and very meaningful Because when I know in the future, in the next 2 or 3 years, when we have to do the rotation to other country, at least I can have the basic from this training. So thank you for your experience and sharing all of this. Yeah.
Thank you for your participants as well. And that is the most important because I see that every one of you are able to participate and give out your thoughts. And that is what that we can improve and standardize the entire P2P processes. Okay, let's move on to who wants to go next.
Next. Okay, I think I definitely learned more about what P2P does, like from like a bird's eye view. Like before this, I wasn't quite sure like what the end to end, like the process flow of what we do. But definitely after hearing everyone's thoughts, everyone's input, it's like, okay, I think I kind of understand now, like what we do here and how like it's not like everyone has their own solutions, like their like issue that happen. So it's good to see how people react to different issues and yeah. So it was really good and very informative and quite interesting.
So we hope you learn something.
It's good. I think what I learned is for the WDS because my country not much more on WBS. Then I only know that WBS once the WBS code is closed, then we need to check with the R to R. But I just think to ask why R to R they don't know they have the incoming invoice, then the WPS code is
Yes,
closed.
you catch the GTV. So if R2R is also doing their BSR on that fixed step, they are able to keep. So if everyone else is doing their BSR timely, then we are able to keep track on all these discrepancies. Just that the other leg is sitting with R2R on that fixed step. Thanks for catching that point. Yeah, so this is why we need to collaborate with the cross-functionals. We don't work in silo because we know that P2P, although we are only transactional, we make that payment and then after that done. But now today with the Beauty Reimagined, everyone will have to work in a more collaborative way. We need to change our ways of working and also to ensure there is a more governance and controls together with other divisions as well.
I think I learned a lot during this session because basically I'm not touching about the invoice processing, but I'm more doing job like admin's job. So I don't, at first I don't know what is GIRR. After all of this session, I know whether how to do the PO, how it goes, how if we face the issue, how to solve. In other country also, I learned a lot during this time. Then I know it's PR, because you know, I just said the terms, but I don't know what it is. Because I just thought that, oh, this one is this one, this one is this one. Oh, I know.
And you can relate to the non-POs and you know where the controls has to be.
Lots of knowledge that I know during this session. Thank you so much.
I think I learned a lot like what's the control plan for a process and also responsibility, which part is responsible by P2P. For example, I thought that every time I have to write in my level for a POP or like is our responsibility to help them to close the balance. Actually, they have to revise the POs and we reduce our workload, like run every month.
Yes, exactly. So we are also trying to strike a balance of what efficiency that we can improve within our team. Yes. What thing do you want to have a word for the team?
So I think
Thomas,
the
over.
third section, the team should have like maybe mention how to flow because like here we have different part, not under P2P different parts. So maybe the invoice part they don't know much on the payment side. So maybe the payment maker can see throughout the session, they will know like why the invoice is getting blocked. There will be a certain reason and then what is the logic behind our system block and how can we resolve all the issues. So hopefully all the topics being covered and yeah, you all can understand the case.
Yeah, and with that, you will be receiving more of the assignment from one thing very soon. Recently, we are having our controllership. They have a different assignment on the annual control assessment and also the risk control matrix on our processes aligned with our DTP process. And lastly, our BSR controls. So from the BSR, maybe each of you will be starting to get some of the approaches from one thing that should be collecting some of the controls and also the amount financial impact that is impacting our daily operations. Okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you everyone for the session and hope everyone that you have already learned something and then we will meet in the very soon.